So in our last class, we were working on in the sequences and series section here. And we have a bunch of notes here, but basically two different types we're talking about here, okay? We're talking about an arithmetic sequence, and an arithmetic sequence is when you are adding or subtracting the same thing every time. So here we are subtracting 5, subtracting 5, subtracting 5. And so that minus 5 is our common difference. Okay, we call that D, stands for our common difference. And then we had a general formula for that. The second type of string of numbers or sequence is a geometric one, where we are multiplying by the same thing. So in this case, we start with a number. This we're multiplying by 4, multiplying by 4, multiplying by 4. And so then that 4 became our R value, standing for our rate. Okay, so if it's geometric, we're finding R. If it's arithmetic, we're finding D. And then again, for the geometric, we had this equation that we were writing. So what I want to do is kind of just go back over those two ideas, okay? And so for the first one, we are going to, I'm going to take this and split it in half. You guys would do that. Just going to draw a line right down the middle of my notes here, if I can get a straight line. And on the left side, I'm going to do arithmetic. And on the right side, I'll change colors and make that geometric. Because in doing these, the first thing is to distinguish what type of sequence are we looking at? Is it arithmetic or geometric? So I'm going to start with the first one. And I'm just going to write a string, and you can wait a minute to write this down if you want to, because I'm going to then take it and slide it. If I start with the numbers 17, 22, 27, and that designated our pattern. Well, the first question is it arithmetic or is it geometric? Well, the way I figure that out is it's easier to determine arithmetic. So I'll look and see, all right, here's the first term, 17. And I know that I add 5 to get 22. That I can do in my head. So I have to check, though, that pattern continues. If I add 5 to 22, I get 27. And since I'm adding the same amount each time, that means that this is going to be an arithmetic sequence. I'm going to take that and put that over there, okay? Now for our second string of numbers, I'll write them down here at the bottom. I'm going to start with 14, 42, 126, and so on. So first, I want to see, is that arithmetic? Well, looking at this, I would say, let's see, we get from 14 to 42, I have to add 28. Okay, and I can just figure that out by subtracting, right? Just do that minus that. So I add 28 the first time, but if I take 42 plus 28, I don't get to 126. That tells me it's not arithmetic. So of course, then it's going to be geometric, but let me show you why. One way to figure that out is then to say, well, what do I multiply 14 by to make 42? Well, maybe I can't do that in my head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide them on my calculator. So if I did, pull up my calculator here, I'm going to do just 42 divided by 14. You know what, I'm going to clean out all the junk here. So I'll go to my actions and clear history, just so we have a clean slate. And so I'm going to do 42 divided by 14, and that's 3. But I have to check to make sure when I do the next one, when I do 126 divided by 42, I also have to get 3. You have to get the same thing each time. So I'll do 126 divided by 42. And it is 3. And because I got the same thing, that means that it is a geometric sequence. So then let me go back here. And let me lasso that guy, put him over in the geometric area. All right, and I want to change its color. Can I do that? Oh, look at that. So nice. So I changed it to blue because it's geometric. Now, we first have figured out if it's arithmetic or geometric. So once we do that, then the second thing we want to do is find, if it's arithmetic, find the common difference. Okay, so find the common difference. And so that's our D value. And so that's just how much are we adding each time? Well, we're adding 5. So we would say that D is equal to 5. Now for the geometric part, we're going to find the common ratio. Okay, it just has a different name. So for geometric, we're going to find the common ratio. And remember, that's the number we got when we took any term and divided it by its previous one. Okay, which we got 3, right? 126 divided by 42 was 3. So we call that R is equal to 3. So the first thing we want to do is distinguish whether it's arithmetic or geometric. If it's arithmetic, we find D. If it's geometric, we find R. All right, so now we're going to take that a step further. So I'm going to, in the arithmetic side, so I'll change to red here. I'm going to give another example. And I want to find the 48th term of this particular sequence. So I want to find the 48th term of, let's say, 413, comma 405, comma 397, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so first, we would determine whether it's arithmetic or geometric. It is arithmetic. I already put it on that side. But I know that because I have a common difference. My D value is -8. Because 413 minus 8 is 405. 405 minus 8 is 397. And so I would say that D is equal to -8. So now I'm going to write the equation. So I gave you that general formula. A sub n is equal to a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times D and I'm gonna fill in what I know. A sub 1 means the first term. That is 413. D, we said, is -8. N is the term we're finding. That's 48. So we would do 413 plus 48 minus 1 times our D, which was -8. And let's just plug that into our calculator. So 413 plus 47 times -8. There we go, we get 37. So we would say that A sub 48, that's how you denote that, is equal to 37. 37 is our answer. All right, let me give you another one that we'll do that's going to be kind of similar. Now I'm going to make this blue so you guys know it's going to be geometric, of course. It's going to be on the other side. Let's find the 8th term. Find the 8th term of this sequence, 8, comma 12, comma 18, and so on. All right, so this is geometric. And the reason it's geometric is because first, if I did 8 plus 4, that's 12. But if I add 4 again, I don't get 18. Okay, so that tells me it's not arithmetic, it's geometric. And another way I could figure that out is I do 12 divided by 8. That's not going to be such a nice number, but it's okay. I mean, it's not too bad, right? So 12 divided by 8 is 3 halves or 1.5. If I click the multiplier decimal, it's going to give you 1.5. But then I also want to check the next one, do 18 divided by 12, make sure I get the same thing. So I do 18 divided by 12. And again, I get 1.5. So that 1.5 is our R value. So I would say that R is equal to 1.5. So for a geometric sequence, we have the formula A sub n is equal to A sub 1 times R to the n minus 1. And we need to just fill in the information that we're given. Remember, A sub 1 always means the first term. That's going to be 8. R is 1.5. N is the one we're trying to find. We're trying to find the 8th term. So I'm going to do A sub 1 is 8. And our R value, which is 1.5, or you could write that as a fraction. It doesn't matter. I'm going to use my calculator anyways. To the 8 minus 1 power. All right, let's plug that into our calculator. So it's 8 times 1.5 to the 7. Notice my use of parentheses here, so be careful. And notice I did a decimal here. So if I wanted to round this to the hundredths, I would do 136.69. Okay, if I wanted to round it to the tenths, I would do 136.7, of course. So we just want to round that accordingly. I'm saying that be careful because on your homework or on your delta, it may ask you to do that. So I'm going to round it to the hundredths, so 136.69. So I would say a sub 8 is equal to 136.69. And that is our answer. All right, so let me come up with another string here. I'm going to extend my red line for our notes. All right, so let's say we want to find, and I'm going to move this around in a second, find the 32nd term of this sequence, 462, comma 453, comma 444, etc. Okay. And I'm also at the bottom going to write out some steps that we're going to do. Okay, so our first step is, determine if it's arithmetic or geometric. All right, so guys, what do we think? Is this one arithmetic or geometric? Are we adding or are we multiplying? Subtracting, right? So we're adding, subtracting. Yeah, so that makes it arithmetic. Very good. So this is arithmetic. Once you've determined if it's arithmetic, the second thing, and you know what, since it's arithmetic, let's take that and put it on the arithmetic side. So I now know that it's arithmetic. So the second thing we want to do is find D. Okay, or R if it's geometric. So we want to find D in this case. So what are we subtracting each time? From 462 to 453 to 444. Nine. Good. We're subtracting 9. So that's our D value. So D is equal to 9. All right, we're rolling here. After we find whether D or R, the third thing we want to do is write the explicit equation. Or the explicit formula. I think they refer to it in delta. That just means write the equation that we were doing. So we're going to write a sub n In fact, I'm going to change that to a sub 32 because we're finding the 32nd term, right? So a sub 32 is equal to a sub 1, which was 462, plus our n minus 1. So our n was 32 minus 1. And then times our d value. And d is 9. So now we just plug that into our calculator. So 462 plus 31 times 9. Okay, just plugging that in, and we get 741, and that is our answer. And so I said there were 4 steps. The 4th step is just to solve, and that's what we did in our calculator, okay? So we want to determine if it's arithmetic or geometric. Then once we know that, then you find either D or R. After we do that, then we write the formula, the explicit formula, and then we just plug it into our calculator and solve. So let me try one last one. We'll do it together, and then I'll have you guys do some on your own, okay? All right, let's find the 10th term of this sequence: 64, 32, 16, and so on. So we're trying to find the 10th term. So let's follow our 4 steps. First, let's determine if it's arithmetic or geometric. All right, what do we think here, guys? Arithmetic or geometric? You guys at home too, you can write up in the chat if you'd like. Are we adding, subtracting, or multiplying, dividing? Geometric, very good, very good. It is geometric. So let me put that over in the geometric side. All right, that's going to go up over here. And let's make that blue so we know that it's geometric. So once we have done that, now let's find R in this case, right? So R, I can always get by taking one number divided by its previous term. So 32 divided by 64, or 16 divided by 32. In either case, R is 1/2 or 0.5. And you can write that either as a decimal or fraction. I think I did a decimal last time I write it as a fraction, but it doesn't matter. I could write that as 0.5 also. All right, so I determined if it was, I determined it was geometric. I found R. Now I want to write the explicit formula. So that means I'm going to do a sub 10, to find the 10th term, is equal to a sub 1, which was the first term, 64, times our R, 1/2, to the n minus 1, or 10 minus 1 power. Okay, now it's a matter of plugging it in. I'm going to do 64 times 1/2 to the 9th power. I'll do 64 times 1/2 to the 9th power. And it gave me a fraction, which I could write as a fraction, or if I want a decimal, I could get 0.125 also. So either answer would be okay. I'm going to write it as, it was 1/8, right? I'm going to write it as 1/8 simply because I did the earlier part in the problem as a fraction, so I'll stay consistent. Okay, but we follow the 4 steps. So for each of those problems, again, the first thing we did, determine if it's arithmetic or geometric. Then you want to find D or R, depending if it's arithmetic or geometric. Then you write the explicit formula. Okay, and we're doing that from the general formulas given above here. Remember that one in green and that one in green. So we write the explicit formulas, and then it's just a matter of plugging it in and solving. All right, do you guys have any questions on either of those? Okay, we're just trying to categorize this and organize it a little bit better for us here.